Hello, everyone, and welcome to the summer episode of Words Friends. I am your host this evening, Sara Matson, and I'm super thrilled to host brilliant writers this evening. Ooh, excellent. And tonight we're going to be hearing from Madison McCartha, Bridget Gordon, Chris Corlew, Jotham Austin II, and Mckendy Fils-Aimé. What a lineup. I am so excited, y'all. I started this reading series because poetry is my passion and my obsession, and I really love connecting with the folks behind the words. So we writers, I would say, especially poets, we do this for the love and the joy and the passion of writing, which is a very nice way to say unpaid. So when you love what you hear tonight, because you absolutely will, please consider supporting these incredible writers by purchasing their books, attending their live readings or shows, listening to their podcasts. Sharing work on social media is a really great free way to show support. Every reader this evening has a book linked. I'm going to be linking it in the chat. Or if you're joining us later on YouTube, you'll also have that in the description. So yeah, lots of cool folks with their books. And speaking of books, I just want to shout out real quick a couple of previous Words Friends guests that all have new books coming out shortly that I'm really excited about. My friend Sara Wainscott, she has a new book called Star Cabins that's going to be coming out from Rescue Press. My friend Exodus Octavia Brownlow has a new book coming out called When It Gets Cold in the South. Super, super excited for Exodus. This book of stories is from the University of Kentucky Press. My amazing friend Jacob Sines has a new book coming out with Next Page Press. That's called Love Hound. Really excited about that. Christy Prawl has a new book coming out called Catalog of Labors. That's from Unsolicited Press. Oh, and everybody may have heard of Ben Nesbajani, an awesome local community organizer. He has a new book coming out called Uncle Time through Gasher Press, and that actually won the Gasher Chapbook Prize. So yeah, if you're available, check those out. I also want to shout out and thank my East Coast bestie, Gregory Glenn, who I believe is here this evening. Thank you for introducing me to some really incredible folks, including Mckendy, who's reading tonight. And I'm just really grateful to know you, Greg. Thanks so much for doing what you do. Yeah, I really appreciate you. Finally, before we begin, I would just like to use this platform to continue to demand a free Palestine, and also to draw attention to the water crisis that's happening right now in Puerto Rico. Please feel welcome to reach out to me for ways, both in person or online, that maybe you can help or make your voice heard. I also have a list of quality organizations if you're able to donate, because more than 500,000 people are without water access in Puerto Rico right now. Fuck ICE, fuck Trump, Slava Ukraina, forever. And now I would really love to get into some fantastic words. I'm really excited. Our first reader this evening is the wonderful Madison McCartha. So I had the joy of meeting Madison at a local reading series, which I really love, called Free Stuff. And I was immediately drawn to Madison's incredible use of their scientific background in their writing. Madison McCartha, she/they, is a poet, critic, multimedia artist, and the author of Freakophone World from Inside the Castle 2021, which was their debut of poetry and visual art. Madison's second book, The Cryptodrone Sequence, is forthcoming from Black Ocean. You can find more at madisonmccartha.com. Everyone, please join me in welcoming Madison McCartha.
Hi, everyone, and thanks, Sarah, for the introduction. Um, I just I do have to say I don't actually have a scientific background, but I'm glad that my poetry makes people think that I do. But um, yeah, so I'm really excited to be invited to be a part of this reading series and to hear some other poets reading their poetry, which I haven't heard in a bit. So I'm just excited to be here. Um, and yeah, so I'll go ahead and read from the cryptodrone sequence. I'm not sure how much background I should give, besides the fact that it's like um, about a type of queer digital entity that works for the president and then at some point stops. And this part of the book is after they've stopped working for the president. So yeah, I'll just read what I've been working on. Together we scale the wall. I used to curse in my dreams, and already feel the thread of cryptodrones at our heel. If the life where we know our value blooms overnight, find in yourself a body who won't forsake pleasure, a gold fit our simplest desires tread in pink and molten yellow. Newly packed with ammonium nitrate, intelligence director Gabbard and her cryptodrone gleam. Older sister, younger sister, I triangulate between, taught to flash our pearl-like teeth and eyes, to make friends so we won't be hurt. But when the militia bullets tear up the floor in my old sequins and heels, talent won't save you. It's called a masquerade when an imposter returns, leaving one home to gain another. Every time a tranny cracks, not knowing who or how to love, I let myself out, fragrant as a name. I put my foot in, like a mollusk shuts the line to sea. When spit on, I enter survival mode and spin down from the light on a thread. A subject in the crowd reaches up to bat me with a palm. Evolutionarily, I'm back at the bottom, a prokaryote gripping the roots, and each bite like a stone spins with the desire of others. I can hardly see you at 1/50 millionth scale, subsuming in a cell the infradark walls, an electron's horseback risk for an instant in the jessamine air. To pierce the tendermost jewel in the president's script, trace the wink at the heart, lapping back and forth between banks, get too close, and gusts of yellow rise from the waves like music. When together we form a dart, invaginating the eye, a hot pink clap above the waveform oscillations, waking from a deep freeze. Yesterday, the world expelled me. So why do I love you? Not a florum of light leaps in the muscular dark. When a cryptodrone's needle-thin beak pricks the dawn, and upon me I feel the graze atmosphere that he was. Bat your lashes from a flare, if your life is worth living. And as our distance from the center eye increases, the less we play the child. Because the richness of others purifies us and resuscitates the pleasures our amino-like threads replace in the president's heart. I compel him to see, building on a wave what he could not before. A single smooth maximum I roll us up in, the bullets thread the missile's long vinyl whip until we're saucer-shaped and pulsing like a fist. Thank you.
That was so wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone. You just heard the amazing words of Madison McCartha. You can check out more about of their work at Madison McCartha, MadisonMcCartha.com. Wow, that was really wonderful. Thank you. And that's amazing. I didn't realize that you didn't strictly have a background in science because you write about it with such a beautiful voice and perspective that really I really identify with. And I also don't have a science background, so hell yeah. Brilliant. Amazing. Thank you. Our next reader this evening is the fantastic Bridget Gordon. So I first heard Bridget's work when she read for That's Poetic, and I was instantly obsessed with her poetic voice and yearning and passion. Bridget Gordon, she slash her, Faye slash fair, is a queer trans woman and emerging poet living in Chicago. A former MFA student and current healthcare worker, her poetry, songwriting, and short form prose is enraptured with queer longing, identity, liminality, and desire. She has past or forthcoming publications in Moist Poetry Journal, Trans Mag, Pink Poetry Club, which I always want to sing, Pink Poetry Club, Coin Operated Press, Pity Milk Press, and Red Rock Review. Faye is the author of the self-published chapbook, The Rest is Up to You, Love, released this summer 2026. Her debut full-length poetry collection, If You Know the Color of Their Eyes, It's Already Too Late, will be published by Raging Opossum Press. And the book release for If You Know the Color of Their Eyes, It's Already Too Late, is next Tuesday, September 1st, 6 p.m. at the Whistler. I'll see you there. Faye lives with her husband, Metamore, cats, and a blue electric guitar named Evie with an ominously large TBR pile. You can find more at bridgetgordon.gay. Please, everyone, join me in welcoming Bridget Gordon.
Good morning to the load-bearing ghosts of warm breath on skin. Good morning to broken elevators. Good morning to almond milk. Good morning to softly fading light. Good morning to the ones who left and the ones eyeing the exits. Good morning to the historical evidence to the contrary. Good morning to film grain. Good morning to cigarette burns. Good morning to old ladies in their Sunday best. Good morning to the subway walls with or without the words of the prophets. Good morning to the gentle rise and fall of her chest. Good morning to the starlight in her eyes. Good morning to never having the right words for it. Good morning to wish making. Good morning to breaking your own heart. Good morning to long distance yearning. Good morning to the spaces in between. Good morning to a girl who is sometimes an ocean. Good morning to Sunday coffee and vinyl records and nowhere in particular to be. Good morning to fried chicken served in a laundromat. Good morning to moon silver lacquer and other means of repair. Good morning to the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain. Good morning to the names we carry, quietly. Good morning to every stupid thing that makes you feel alive. Good morning to the space created when something ends. Good morning to heartache. Good morning to heart mending. Good morning to you. Hello, darlings. I'm Bridget, and I'm very happy to be here. I was so thrilled when Sara asked me to read for this. Because yeah, I've run into her at That's Poetic, and I think a couple other places, and then like definitely like we were on a bill together at Lazy and Entitled reading earlier this summer, and I got to witness her scratch and sniff poetry. It was so good, so good. Yeah, I'm just thrilled to be here on the internet, hanging out with y'all and making art. This is my favorite thing. I'm also like thrilled to be on a bill again with Madison. We both featured together at Poison's reading series last summer. Poison's is an all-trans poetry salon once a month in Edgewater. It's a really good time. Yeah, so, and yeah, and also like Chris and I have been like itching to be on a bill together for forever, and I'm just really thrilled to meet Mckendy and Jotham and like this. Sara, thank you for what you've built here. This is delightful. I am reading from entirely from my new book. If you know The Color of Their Eyes, it's already too late. It is coming out next Tuesday. It is a collection of queer erotic love poems. There is also some like heavy shit, and there's some heartbreak, and like there's a lot of like trying to figure out who you are after the person you're not with anymore was like such a big part of who you thought you were. So like there's a lot of sad stuff in there, but there's also like a lot of gay sex. So like you think, yeah. Yeah, so I hope you pick up a copy and I hope you enjoy it. This next poem is in the book. It started life as just a funny thing I wrote for a friend because he dared me to, and I was like, wait, no, this has some gas. So every week is Fat Bear Week if you're not a fucking coward. After Lucy Dacus. Every night I dream of saddle soap. I call out my name, yours comes back to me like spit in my mouth. Every night I don't smell you is a night in a windowless room. Every morning I don't wake up with your coarse hands on my waist, beast gripped, is a morning too pale and meager for poetry. We lose so much time this way. So come, stay with me a little while longer. Fags like us, born with countdown timers, if we're lucky, they stop together. Every night I am ruined by want for all the things we can never have. But God, how lucky are we to have so much to lose? So come, stay with me a little while longer. Please, stay. Thanks, y'all. Appreciate you. Alright, let's keep it rolling. One thing I'll say about this next one is I wrote it and I posted it on the internet, and I have a reputation for writing poems about people, especially crushes, and it's not completely unearned. So I immediately wrote this and posted it on social media, and among my friends there was a lot of chatter about who this poem was written about, and to this day I have not revealed who it is about. I may never say who it's about, but it's definitely about somebody, and this is Dimples. The thing is, it's your dimples at the near corners of your mouth, each with comet's tails stretching Kuiper belt long every single time you smile. The truth is, it was always bigger than the face meant to hold it, and brighter than the dark that haunted you until it felt like all there ever was, and warmer than the summer rain and the first time your smile was meant for me. The thing is, it's your dimples. It made me look to the sky again. Thanks, y'all. Let me see what else. Yes, thank you very much. There, like I said, the book does have some sad stuff in it. It's not like, not all of it's like sad, but like there's a lot of wistfulness. We'll say that. So this is from that particular section of the book. I was not made for a 9 to 5. I was made to loiter in the soft-focused borderlands between a warm cup of black coffee and a gray November morning adorned in careless jewels of freezing rain. I was made to tell you good morning from 1,000 miles away and pretend for a moment that you're in my kitchen, wearing the sweater that always smells like you, no matter how long it's been. I was made to bury my face in the matted fur of an old cat, who still keeps me company on days like today, even as these days taper to a number countable on fewer hands than years together. I was made to turn away from the screen and turn towards your hands, pressing against my chest as if we are a ballast for each other. Later, I'll be made to meet the ghost of you for drinks, to light your cigarette outside the bar while you tell me about the time you got to go backstage, and how you didn't want to feel special, you just wanted to see how the art gets made. A car slows down, a shotgunner glares at us, then peels away. I look over, and you're gone again, except for the smell, and the rain, and the morning coffee, and the breath we've both been holding in this whole time. Thank you, y'all. I am kind of a slut for a Nafra, and that definitely comes through in this next poem. This is called What If We Kissed? What if we kissed outside the coffee shop in late October rain? What if we kissed in the bookstore by the literary memoirs? What if we kissed under a catalpa tree while we're walking home? What if we kissed just before you finish your cigarette? What if we kissed while you wear my jacket and you dare me to take it back from you? What if we kissed while we wait for the light to change? What if we kissed after I tell you everything that happened and you stay anyway? What if we kissed on your birthday just before midnight? What if we kissed while we wait for the season to change? What if we kissed one last time at Christmas? What if we kissed right before you leave for the airport? What if we kissed outside my apartment 25 years too late? What if we kissed while we wait for the world to change? Thank you, everyone. Thank you. This has been lovely. I've got one more poem, and I just want to say thank you again to Sara for organizing this. Thank you to everyone that I'm reading with today. I'm so thrilled to be able to share like an internet stage with y'all. And thank you all of you for like kicking me out on the internet on what's actually kind of a really nice evening at the end of summer to listen to some poems. I really think Chicago is one of the best lit reading scenes anywhere, and everyone who showed up today is a big part of why. So I have a lot of shows coming up over the next few months to support the book. I will post my tour poster in the chat after I'm done reading, and I hope I get to see y'all out there. So this is my last poem. It is the title poem from my new book, and it's called The Color of Their Eyes. I knew it was a mistake to be anywhere near you during golden hour. I did it to myself anyway. Of course I did. What else was I going to do? A large and hopping table, the late spring sun cresting under the cloud line, hitting your hair just right. Someone said something funny. Couldn't have been me, I was distracted. And that April sun now had to contend with you. That cherry blossom hair. That fucking smirk. and hands and lips and eyes the exact same color as the maple tree I was under when I told someone I loved them for the first time. And I finally knew why they called this golden hour. Once, a close friend told me, if you know the color of their eyes, it's already too late. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening.
Wow, Bridget, that was absolutely incredible. Everyone, you just heard the fantastic words of Bridget Gordon. You can find her at bridgetgordon.gay. Wow, that was really, really fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. Oh, love that. Whew. Y'all, I'm feeling amazing. This is such a good night, and I'm so grateful to y'all for being here. Whew, what a treat. Yay, thank you. Our next wonderful reader this evening is Chris Corlew. I met Chris at a reading of our mutual friend, Adrian Sobel, and I was immediately drawn to Chris's honest, achingly relatable words and poetry. Chris Corlew is a writer and musician living in Chicago. His work has appeared in Cotton Xenomorph, Whiskey Tit, The Ruminant, Cracked.com, and elsewhere. He can be found blogging at shipwrecksailor.substack.com or on Blue Sky at The Corlew. With Brendan Johnson, he curates the Lazy and Entitled podcast and reading series here in Chicago. Everyone, please join me in welcoming Chris Corlew.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you for having me. I do have to do a minor correction. I'm no longer on Substack. All my blogging is on lazyandentitled.org. Um, but thank you so much for having me, Sarah. Sarah is the type of person whose energy about poetry is just infectious, and it rules that the Chicago lit scene has people like her in it to have readings like this. This is a bill that I feel extremely honored to be on. Um, I feel almost out of my league. These are such good poets. So let's try to prove that last statement wrong, huh? This is warm February watching nature documentaries. A hippo heads straight for the surf, looking for a feeling of smallness in salt water. I dump some more salsa on my night nachos. There's a way if you try hard, you can make life really good. Bike shop with its doors open this morning. I saw a dude on Clark Street leaving the gym in his shorts. I saw golden doodles without sweaters. I saw girls in hoodies getting after school chips and tea in a can. I saw my kid take his coat off while running on the playground and saw myself thinking it wasn't worth getting up to chastise. He was wearing his skull sweatshirt. And now I'm seeing a jaguar fight a crocodile. And sure, I'm stoned, but the kid's asleep. Thought about opening windows today. Shit, winter's so warm we didn't bother taping them this year. There's not much to like about Obama's post-presidency as of 2024, but what a great voice for nature documentaries. A macaque jumps on the back of a distracted deer, and I think, how humiliating without language. No negotiation, no established friendship. You're a vessel now, dear. Let me ride you. There's no penance, I know, to make up for droning Lebanese weddings or not closing Guantanamo. And there's no reward, I know, for being the first black man trying to preside in Trump country. At least 80 species live in a sloth's fur. Algae swamp moss. I don't know. Looks itchy. Animals and people willingly live in the Arctic, and Mark Zuckerberg's terraforming Hawaii despite locals 4 years ago being like, stop coming here. Please. The land can't handle it. 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 Some endangered condors are making a comeback in Chile. Thank you very much. The lack of hearing in Zoom readings is never not going to be weird for me, but I assume that's going over like gangbusters. This one is called Kayaking Mid-July. Took an edible before I came out. Water's so July, so blue, so simmering, so foam-capped, so loving, even the ripples of jet ski wakes, even if I hate jet skis. Jet skis are for settler individuals so gas-powered in their blood they can't imagine a world of boiled seawater, but I row to commune with the lake, not dominate it. I row so the lake can remind me I am so small, and yet so here, so blissed, and we are so back this summer. Two gulls, three shore dogs chasing tennis balls, two buildings I used to live in visible, one dorm and one glass library. What a run. Hell yeah, dude, my arms feel huge. Picking up fish tacos on the way home. Want any plantains? If you want a free morning, just ask. If you want a street festival to go off without a hitch, make sure you keep a fan in your pocket. We won't notice night is coming if we concern ourselves with bookstore puppet shows. And will we, with new bracelets and crocheted frogs that glow in the dark, and new drawings of trees, and a fresh order of cheese curds to share, plus hot dog for wagon-strapped child, plus Queen cover band, even care about evenings dim? Thank you. Let's see. This is called White Parents of Biracial Children. Do people ignore you at the airport if you're the parent not holding the kid's hand? Our kid's pre-K 3 teacher called him a bright light, which was as adorable as hummingbirds. Of course you are. That's exactly what you are. Yes, it is. You are bright light. Cut to a couple years later, talking about being half black, half white, he asks, how much of him is bright light? Every part of you is bright light, I tell him, but that's not the point. It's Black History Month. And sun is shining at the park, and my wife teases me. He still needs sunscreen, you know. One day, my son will grow up to be another black man that I can screw up a handshake with. All right, I like to have a poetics of fun. I like to have a good time with my poetry. I like to write about things like kayaking and getting high and stuff. But sometimes real life gets in the way. This is the neo-colonial shock troops of 21st century fascism invade Chicago. Years ago, on the walk home from Canines full of whiskey and song, I saw a coyote holding up an entire lane of Devon Ave traffic, tongue waggling, sprinting, slow by car standards, more like a cyclist, not the first coyote I'd seen, and coyotes and cyclists always make me marvel. Oh, what a tapestry is Chicago. What a singing chorus of tamaleros and street preachers. Oh, what a quilt of wildlife. And Ted tells me to leave loose And Ted tells me to leave loose tobacco for coyotes. And he's enrolled Mackinac Band and ex-Folks Nation Simon City Royals. Plus he used to live in my neighborhood. The trust is as implicit as stars under clouds. When my kid's teacher, whom I trust because solidarity to Chicago Teachers Union rank and file, tells me over 60 languages are spoken at the neighborhood school, I am as fresh, polished, brushed nickel. I am stoked as a skater landing a trick after a day of bales. I am as one who has come home to simmering scallions and garlic and black beans. And on the day that ICE abducts a man from my building, they kick in our gate, the same gate I told my nightmare-having 7-year-old is the gate that keeps us safe. I blow my whistle. Mallory gets the whole thing on video. Some neighbors come out and yell. A man is still dragged away and thrown into a Chevy Wagoneer. Later, after I've joined anti-ice street patrols, and our neighbor was kidnapped here, stencils sprout on sidewalks. I meet singing, quilting neighbors who prove ICE wrong about our neighborhood. And still, so many are gone in so many Chevy Wagoneers. I assume most of us are in Chicago. I assume most of us remember last year. I'm gonna take a sip of water. Shout out to everyone not in Chicago, yet still being here, though. That's awesome. Thank you for being here. Mckendy, you're not in Chicago. Welcome, dude. Thanks.
I'm okay claiming Mckendy for us for the great like comment of Chicago.
A Chicagoan at heart, certainly.
Yeah. Certainly.
Certainly cool enough to be a Chicagoan.
Oh yeah, like
I
hands
have a
down.
fondness for the Midwest, so I'll take it. Thank
Let's
you.
go. Yes. All right. On No King's Day, I take an ice watch shift in Rogers Park. This is written after the Frank O'Hara poem, A Step Away from Them, which is the poem that made me want to be a poet. So it's going to sound a little bit like that one if you know that poem. It's a protest day, so I go for a walk among the hum-colored tamaleros and the stone fruit-colored murals and the chip-colored mechanics garages and the pop art-colored cafes and the statue-colored churches with mass times covered up so ice won't know when to stalk. First the kids on the public playground, then the people running at a metro train, then the Morse Avenue gardeners, then the buzzing of Clark Street. Not everyone is physically in Grant Park, holding abolish ice signs. But like migrating monarch butterflies, we feel the hollerin' in our hearts. The lake, another 2 blocks, I could try to meet the Paleta man ringing out the last warm days. I could photograph some gulls and dip my toes. But I stay on the street, watch some black kids on bikes pop wheelies, listen to one side of a phone call in Spanish and get every third word, watch boxes of rice noodles and oyster sauce unloaded from a truck, watch the waiting brunch crowd languorous down the sidewalk. Everything suddenly honks. There's always a shift to work, and so there's always a neighbor to protect. I do this, I do that, and ice could show up at any minute. Scan the road for Chevy Wagoneers and Ford Explorers. The signal chat reports license plates, but I don't have a brain for numbers, and the pigs change them out anyway. Straggler protest signs rumble past me and nod at my whistle, and I am now a person who nods at neighbors on the sidewalk. First, Silverio Villegas Gonzalez was killed, then Renee Good, then Alex Preddy, and how many unreported in the camps. And no, the earth is not as full anymore. A couple of bean and cheese tamales, and back to my family. My heart is in my heart is in my pocket. It is the poets who taught me to live the neighborhood. Okay. Sarah, is 3 more okay? Is that all right time-wise? Awesome. Thank you. Okay. White parents of biracial children. Within a week of my oldest's birth, my brother-in-law said, what I learned quickly when I had kids was that it really wasn't about me anymore. And it wasn't direct advice to me per se, but it's something I held back then. My sense of self was shaky as Joakim Noah's jumper. Because every white guy I used to drink whiskey with has at one point, before the glass was even fully pulled from their lips, said, whatever, dude. Nothing fucking matters. I know now that my life is part of an herb garden, tended by some monk. May my children grow up and pass my recipes off as their own. Is there a poem here? It's really not about me anymore. Stoked about all the microplastics in my balls. We all got to get used to it, I'm told. Technology is inevitable in a way the Colorado River is not. I make the switch from bottles to cans and learn the capitalists have been lying about Luddites and learn about how auto companies sabotage train lines. On walks during pandemic lockdowns when he was a baby, I'd named the world for my child. Robins, stoplights, train station, red car. Here is what it looks like when a computer murders a lake, an uncanny image of a supposed cute orange cat. I've set foot in the Pacific Ocean only once or twice, yet still feel the weight of Trash Island nudging my rib cage if I sleep on the wrong side. Here's another right-winger talking about birth rates like TV ratings. I set my phone face down on the counter and check to see if my takeout box is compostable. Okay, one more. Thank you again to Sarah. Once again, such an honor to be on this bill. Um, some great poets. And yeah, you all made a choice to be here. You all made a choice to listen to a poetry reading on a perfectly nice weekday night. So that's huge. Thank you so much. Um, this has been fun. This has been a blast. This is called The Trees, My Dudes, the Trees. Head-banging kelp forests, The sea cats of Chile's beaten coasts hunt with agility, implying they could probably guard Kevin Durant one-on-one. In the dark, the stoned horror writer makes a note of vampire bats on screen. Evergreen rainforests where I would maybe melt out of reverence. Can I kiss the Mapengari's hand? Ambush is easy enough when you look like a leaf, the narrator says about frogs. Reincarnate me as a dewdrop above the Valdivian forest. Seems a million times more purposeful and fulfilling than 21st century USA. The trees are so many. Can you see the trees and not praise the trees, my comrades in leaves? Can you see the Chilean palm trees mix with Valdivian species and not worship the earth? The trees, marvel at the trees, and cacti grow in the clearings. The trees depend on Monito del Monte to swallow their seeds whole and shit out germinating pods and sticky residue. This animal is 40 million years old. We're talking first mammal old. That should be sacred. The trees should be considered a holy site. And the monkey puzzle tree, resistant to volcanic ash. Can you even believe how big the world is? How tall the trees? Can you even believe how impossibly small even a 20-story apartment building is? And yet each life contained within a treasure, even thousands of miles from these sacred trees. What a treat to be alive, to be stoned and up late, and watching a streaming service I only have so my kids can watch Mickey and Bluey and Spider-Man, and I can watch Star Wars. And no, there's more. There's the divine, dewy and shaggy with cacti in the clearing. The trees, my dudes, the trees. We end as we began, waterbound, confronted with wave battering. Thank you, everyone.
Oh, absolutely incredible. Gosh, everyone, you just heard the amazing words of Chris Corlew. Check out Lazy and Entitled. The trees, my dudes. God, those trees, Chris, the trees, they're in my chest, and I love it. Amazing. Thank you. Y'all, I'm having the best night. Thank you so much for being on this wonderful journey with me. Wow, amazing. I am so thrilled to introduce our next wonderful next wonderful writer. Sorry, I'm vibing. I'm into it. Our next amazing writer this evening is Jotham Austin II. So I read Jotham's work after finding him on the Guild Writers to Watch list earlier this year, and I was immediately drawn to his fusion of science fiction and science fact. Jotham Austin II, PhD, is a biological electron microscopy research associate professor at the University of Chicago and an author whose work blends science, identity, and the supernatural. He also serves on the board of the Chicago Writers Association, directing the CWA Book of the Year, and was named to the Guild Literary Complex's 35 Writers to Watch. His works include the novel Will You Still Love Me If I Become Someone Else? The novella Tomorrow May Be Too Late, short stories Lives Matter, and Summer Without Leaves, essays and zines that explore the science in our favorite fiction. Jotham is repped by Kat Kerr of DMLA. Jotham also co-hosts the Rabbit Hole of Research podcast, separating the science from hand-wavium by exploring science through the lens of sci-fi, pop culture, horror, and fantasy. Everyone, please join me in welcoming Jotham Austin II.
Yeah, thank you. No, thank you for having me, Sarah. I think we met at Rosa's during a reading, which was really awesome. In there, more recently, I write mostly prose, short fiction, and novels. But when I was in grad school, doing my PhD work, I would read mostly poetry. So when I first started writing, it was mostly poetry and short fiction. So all through grad school, I performed poetry, actually performed with a guitar player for some pieces, some longer pieces. I'm trying to get Robbie to come out and maybe we can get the band back together. So I really always happy the last few readings. Maud Levin down at the Printers Row. She has a reading series, and that one got me out. And I'll read a prose piece, but then I'll pull some poetry out also because it's just a wonderful poets here, always inspiring. And I always look back to my roots and think about, and people are encouraging me to put my poems together and maybe publish them someday. But I can read them uh, and enjoy them. So I'm gonna start with the prose piece. It's one I kind of worked on. It's called To Dust. She stopped mopping the floor, stared at me, mouth moving like a fish out of water. Words finally materialized mid-thought, asking me to clean the dust out of the pillow's belly button. I raised an eyebrow, wondering if she was starting to forget, wondering if it's time to go back to Earth. I asked where she put the dustpan. She held out her hand with 2 pills. I refused. Not my time yet. Reminding her that we would go to Earth soon. She nodded, moving with great concentration to start packing. Hoping we had more time together, I watched her fumble around, rearranging knickknacks, forgetting where she put them. It was heartbreaking. We'd have to leave sooner than I thought, if she was going to make it to Earth. I changed our flight. I still don't know where the dustpan is, and we leave tomorrow. We boarded the ship the next morning, slept the entire way, waking shortly before arriving. She was tired and went straight to bed. I stayed up watching the sunset, stars, moon, scanning the sky for home. I forgot to sleep, finding Mars in a purple-black night. Headlights cut through the still dark horizon. It was them, coming for her. Many miles away, but coming. I thought we'd have more time. I rushed inside to get her ready. She started unpacking my clothes, but I told her to leave them vacuum sealed because Earth, I reminded her, is the kind of place where no matter how hard you try, everything gets dirty. Not like Mars, where things are always clean, white glove clean, like the hands that will carry her away. I followed her around the house. She was moving with remembered purpose. We paced and talked into the early morning. I was tired and had to sit down. It took her a few minutes to realize I wasn't following her. She stopped, stared at me, smiled, eased down next to me. It was time, she said. Her tight ball of fingers opened, revealing 2 pills. We promised to take care of each other. I swallowed them both as she rubbed small circles along my back, reminding me it was okay to remember. She held up a photo, me before we went to Mars. She took this picture after my parents were taken. My face, my hands, still dirty from helping them clean this house a lifetime ago. We had more time than I thought because they didn't arrive until we finished looking through the photos. Remembering, arriving after sunrise, but still not day. Carrying her away, white hands, white suits, looking me over, asking if I was ready. I shook my head. They told me to stay on Earth, take my pills. They'll be back soon. It would be my time soon. I wanted to argue, but all I could think about was dusting. I watched them drive away until they disappeared into the sunlight. I couldn't look away. I couldn't remember why my eyes were burning with tears. I sat on the porch for a while until I remembered. She was gone. I went back inside to hide away from the light, take more pills, remember. Without her chattering around, the house, unrelented quiet, was only disturbed by the sound of my bare feet pacing across the hardwood floors, tracing the thin slices of light sneaking in between the window blinds, waiting for her return, taking the pills she left me, waiting for the dust to grow in the space she used to fill. I swallowed 2 more pills, eyes closed. I imagined her small hand rubbing geometric shapes along my back. I hate taking these pills. They make me remember where the dustpan was. Remembering I am all alone now, and I will have to keep up with the dusting. Remembering being alone is only temporary. I want to sleep, but there are too many things to clean. Rearranging the family photos. Haven't slept for days. Remembering her. Remembering to dust the pillow's belly button. I swallowed more pills as white-gloved hands grabbed at me. Before sunrise, clutching her picture. Remembering. We always planned to come back home, to earth, to dust, together. Thank you. All right, so I'll move from prose and short fiction to some poetry and kind of have fun. This was actually a newer one. I'll read some older. Actually, I'll read a couple out of the novel. I sneak poems in some of my books. This one here is called An Angry Bee Comes to a Picnic in Tempe, Arizona. Full of agitated energy, full of potential energy, wings beating like furious tornadoes, the world cooking, melting in terrific splendor, ultraviolet colors calling, hot pinks, uranium yellows, incandescent purples, pheromones calling, molecular eddies of delicious pleasures, temptation calling, a stinger full of enthusiasm. Angry over a life wasted searching the hot desert for blooming flowers, a fool's errand? Maybe. Looking for one more thrill, I smell my favorite flower, landing on your soft flesh, tired wings closed gently, walking into the shadows, following that sweet scent, searching for my prize. I keep crawling along until I realize my mistake, my unwanted advances. You swat at me, nervous, lost. I try to take flight. Between the space between your skin, shifting fabric, trapped, desperate, nothing personal, just actualizing potential, driving my stinger into your flesh. I will die happy for once in my life. Thank you. The cold, biting, piercing, pinpricks plump the skin. A look, a touch, a shoulder, a glacial summer day, a lover's embrace. The wind is cruelest, punishing the unprepared, the uninsulated, the cocksure, the deserving, turning them into fragile glass, like ice, melting under my warm, forgiving touch. In that same vein, kind of the short poems, I kind of like it. It's just fun playing with a word. This is out my novel, Please Love Me If I Become Someone Else. There's two poems in here. This one is, We will never forget how much we love you. Falling, but I wake up in the same place. This defies logic, the act itself, falling. Falling suggests you start someplace and end in another, a different place or position that can be painful and undesirable. Falling down, falling off, falling into. Love may be the exception. This one here is Memories Fill in the Void. And so I should say, Will You Still Love Me If I Become Someone Else? It was a book. It's a psychological sci-fi thriller about a guy who gets the memories of 110 people by accident. And then he has to figure out who he is in that jumble of memories. And his fiance has to figure out if she can love who he becomes. So it's kind of it's a wild ride. I always tell people, if you like David Lynch's Mulholland Drive, then this is a book for you. But this is towards the end of the book, and it's a poem from his kind of Brian's perspective, trying to remember. Memories fill in the void. I don't remember the fine details of that day. Was it sunny or did it rain? Did we splash in puddles or lay on soft green weeds with yellow flowers? Did we name animals in the clouds? I don't remember the fine details in your hair. Was the color you streaked in red or blonde, or some shade of brown and gray? I don't remember your voice. Was it deep and sweet or high and whiny? Did you snort when you laugh? What did I say? I don't remember holding you close. Tears like raindrops. Did I squeeze you too tight? Am I the reason you cried? I don't remember. Please tell me. The truth would be best, but lies can fill in the void. Paint me a pretty picture. A sunset full of pink in your hair, a red picnic basket, a wicker basket full of cheese and wine, summer rain, forgotten, black rubber boots, forgotten, yellow raincoats, holding hands, running for cover, our picnic feast, forgotten. You're not crying. Your face is wet with warm raindrops, laughing at the scene we left behind. We pull each other close. You smell like ripe fruit, watermelon or tomato. Our lips exchange a secret. I can hear it. I remember. I can hear it echoing in the void. I love you always. So I'll read one more. And this one here, it was so I said I read when I was in grad school, and kind of the story how I started reading was I would carry my poems around, like people would carry mixtapes back in the day, if you remember that, in the mid 90s. And the there was a radio personality, Mary McCann, the Bone Mama, and she was really supportive of the arts in Phoenix, Tempe area, and she would do these poetry readings, and she would talk about them on the radio. And I happened to see her at a bar I used to hang out on campus, and so I had all these poems, and I would go and I said, Mary, I hear you do these poetry readings. Can I be in one? And I never been in a poetry reading before, but this is what you do. You go and ask someone, and she was like, "Oh yeah, just send me an email." And she gave me this email address. And this email was pretty new back then, and it was like it looked weird to me. Like I was like, I don't think this is the email address, but okay. And so I emailed, it bounced, and I was like, all right, this is the new give someone a fake phone number thing. So I'm like, all right, that's so I see her again at the bar. And Mary, she's super nice. And I'm like, hey, that email? She was like, oh yeah, it wasn't right. You're right. Here's the real email. And then she was like, well, just read me a poem right now. Like, you got a poem you can read like right now. Let's just go right in the middle of the bar. Just do it. Just go. And I was like, sure. So I get my stack of poems, and I had one remembered, and I still sort of remember it. I'm gonna read off of it so I get it right. But it was and I read it, and she was like, oh, okay. She was like, I like that. Yeah, send me the poems. And then she called me a day or two later and had a spot for me. That spot then opened up. Then she did a larger reading, the Artsy Fartsy party. And then I'm telling this whole long story because after that, someone said, oh, you should go talk to Georgia and do this reading at the Modified that she puts on. And that's Georgia is now my wife. So this is all how that made it. So this was that poem. And also, I want to say rest in peace to Mary. She just passed away after a battle with a cancer. So just recently out in a Portland area. So I dedicate this one to Mary McCann, the Bone Mama, and it'll be my final poem. And thank you for a wonderful evening and all the wonderful poets and writers, if you write other things besides poetry, like myself. Wet dreams. Naked starfish race across the beach when society is not looking, but I can always find a path of nicely thrown clothes that leads to their wonderland. The cold ocean pulls covers off the mating crabs, and the rumors start to fly. But the burden to prove their guilt isn't a priority. The twinkling stars giggle while dipping into the milk and stealing cookies, but all they leave behind are crumbs and a note that says, we'll be back tomorrow. And then that tired sun slowly peeks over the horizon, and I can see it out of the corner of my eye, but I am too tired to acknowledge its existence, and its beauty slowly fades away as I close my eyes. Thank you. Have a good night.
Wow, that was absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much, Jotham. Everyone, you heard the phenomenal words of Jotham Austin II. Thank you so much. I really, really enjoyed that. I think immediately all novels should have more poems in them. And we got to start doing some mixtape poems, friend, because that is awesome. I would love to pull out a poem and what a treat. Let's do it. Oh, wonderful. Oh, yes. What a treat. Wow, y'all, what a great night. I can't believe we're already at our final reader for this evening. Our final reader this tonight is Mckendy Fils-Aimé. So I had the very amazing honor of reading with Mckendy in New Hampshire in April for National Poetry Month. And I really deeply connected with his gorgeous voice and words. Mckendy Fils-Aimé is a New England-based Haitian-American poet, organizer, and teaching artist. He has received fellowships from Callaloo, Canem, The Watering Hole, CantoMundo, and Periplus. Over the span of nearly 2 decades, Mckendy has represented New England in several regional and national poetry slams, performing on numerous semifinal and final stages. Mckendy's work has been featured or is forthcoming in Best New Poets, Adroit, Muzzle, American Literary Review, the Academy of American Poets, and elsewhere. His debut poetry collection, Sipèstisyon, was published by YesYes Books just this past June, I believe, 2026, baby. You can find more at mckendyfilsaime.com. Everyone, please join me in welcoming Mckendy Fils-Aimé.
Hey, friends. Thanks so much for inviting me out. Sarah, so good to see you again. Chris, so good to see you again. Shout out to all the other poets and writers who read tonight. You guys are amazing. I'm like, oh, okay. I was taking notes. I was taking notes. You know, reporting live from Massachusetts, but I'm a Chicagoan at heart, let's just say, or an honorary Chicago person, a Midwesterner at heart, what I'm trying to say is I love your neck of the woods. So yeah, I wrote a book called Sipèstisyon. It's a collection of poems that, discusses generational trauma and uses Haitian folklore and superstitions to talk about that. So I'm going to read some poems from that collection and then some other stuff that I'm working on, and hopefully I don't go over time. I'm gonna time myself, and we'll see what happens. All right. So this is an early poem from Superstition. It's called On Superstitions. I was raised reading a Bible of conditional statements and sometimes the good book. Before bed, mom recited proverbs like, if you play with your shadow, then it will eat you. But I never did believe her. Flipped a switch after she turned the lights off and left, my flashlight beaming an O across my bedroom wall, my fingers bending and twisting into black foxes that escaped into my room. I didn't play with my shadows. I made theater of skepticism and let them star in the show, but once, half awake, I saw them scaling the wall, stretching into a maw. I feared becoming their meal and screamed for mom. She said, what did I tell you? I stopped playing with my shadows and started ignoring the pastor when he'd call superstitions the devil's proverbs. I still believed in God, but also my Bible. My Bible, a game of telephone that first rang across the ocean or inside a sugarcane field or in the still air after a hurricane. My Bible, an insurance policy against what God won't cover. My Bible, an instruction manual on how to collar the uncontrollable and teach it to come running when I call its name. Right. So that's my first poem. Um, And then I'm gonna do this other piece. And it's also in the collection. It's about mermaids because I like mermaids, and I feel like every 3 to 5 business years I write a mermaid poem. I think that's been like a reoccurring thing in my writing journey. And so this is like my mermaid poem in Sipèstisyon. Grandma says, don't spend too much time at rivers, or the mermaids will snatch you up. They love to collect the wayward, says they'll draw me close, like a whirlpool, and drag me below. Then who knows what will become of me? Says there's a boy like me who lived near the Akul River, whose mother would warn the same thing. He shrugged it off, filed it in a folder labeled nonsense in the office of disbelief. During the summer, he'd spend hours each day playing at the river until one night he saw a girl floundering in the water. Someone help, she begged. So the boy moved closer, and the moon revealed to him her gray salt-kissed skin, iceberg eyes, and stringy hair, a dozen gills spiraling around her neck. And before he could run, the boy felt a tug and was snatched under. Rumor has it, the river held him like a jealous artist might hold the finished work of another and think, I can do better. Rumor has it, he was a canvas on the current's easel for 7 years, his body painted over and over by La Sirène until his skin was grayer, hair finer, eyes bluer, his neck blessed by a prayer circle of gills. Rumor has it, the river spit his dead body back up dressed in gold. Grandma says, beware of the rivers, even in America, unless you wish to be made into a mermaid. But I don't even know how to swim, I tell her, and neither did the boy. Right. Proven. Okay. So there's another series of poems I've been working on. It's about a shapeshifter in Haitian folklore. It's called a loup-garou. It's kind of like a werewolf, but like just flyer, in my opinion, scarier. Definitely scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. And so I'm gonna read a poem from that kind of universe. Um, it's also about like a famous pop singer that we might all know. Michael Jackson was a loup-garou, and no one could tell me otherwise. At 8 years old, sitting in the dark of my family's living room on the border of bedtime, I watched his lover escape into a movie theater from a zombie-faced Michael. Who knew terror could high kick like that, could spin and lean into an acute angle bullying gravity, could command a group of the undead into mimicry? If you asked me, he was a mirror image of the silhouettes that called out to my mother in her dreams, stared with shadow-piercing flaxen eyes, asking her to come close and share the details of our lives. Her dreams, never dreams, but instruments, hungry to play our death knells. Or he was like the man in the grocery store whose smile peeled away like a first skin when he pushed my cousin onto the freezer aisle floor. Michael looks the same way at the end of the Thriller video. I swear, there's a scene where you can see him throwing on his man suit before his lover wakes up, where all she'll know is his arm wrapped around her and not how he looks back at the camera and smiles. His eyes, two yellow orbs, slitted Vanta black. How could I not scream when his gaze mentored my nightmares? How could I believe my mother when she came running, it's not real, it's not real, knowing each time she slept, all she heard were rebuttals. Right. It is shout out to all y'all for engaging. It is kind of weird, like Chris said, just like doing poems and it's just silence, but I know y'all with me, so thank you. Appreciate y'all. Um, all right, I'm gonna read one more poem, maybe two if my phone doesn't start screaming at me because I ran out of time type shit. But um this is a poem after Sharon Olds. So this book also, deals with like generational trauma and influenced by my relationship with my parents, which is like complicated. Um, and so, this poem is about that. It's also after Sharon Olds. This is called I Go Back to September 1987. I go back to September 1987. I see them standing at the bus stop, young, the smell of back home still lingering on their months old luggage, English, a coat of paint slowly drying on the walls of their communication. They are waiting for another journey to start, a trip to a Brooklyn high school I will learn of from their future stories. My mother will say my father was persistent. My father will say he wanted marriage the first time he saw her, but I can't tell for sure. Yet the way they sit close, my mother's sturdy expression breaking into a slight smile as my father jokes about New York and their new classes and ESL. And I think the one thing they love more than each other is the American dream. I want to tell my mother to leave or my father to break up with her. I want to tell them not to elope, that they'll learn to hold on to a grudge longer than a marriage, that violence will be the twin of every child they bring into this world, that it's not worth it, the series of regrets. But I stay silent. I want to watch myself cry for the first time, remember the sound of my own ache before I was taught to steel myself against harm. One day, you'll both be dead, and all I'll have left are therapy copays, worksheets, and bad wound logic. All I'll have left is a list of people I've hurt and how many times they've chosen to forgive me. Forgiveness, a chorus of grace echoing in the halls of my worst days. I've invoiced you for apologies, but you've repaid in apologias. A wealth of excuses for your hands clamping around my young throat. Sometimes I want a home built on the grounds of half-hearted repentance, for you to owe no debt to the bank of careless rearing. Some days truth is a relative who can only afford to call me, but I know I'll see him soon. What I'm trying to tell you is this poem is a past due bill. I've cut the power. Thanks, y'all.
Good gravy, Mckendy. Absolutely incredible. Wow, thank you so much for sharing. Everyone, you just heard the phenomenal words of Mckendy Fils-Aimé. Check out his website, mckendyfilsaime.com, MckendyFilsaime.com. Ooh, wow, just, you get that, just, I feel so inspired and I'm just really, really grateful. That was amazing. Y'all, this has been such an incredible evening. Thank you to our awesome audience for being here tonight. Thank you so much for your time and energy, Madison, Bridget, Chris, Jotham, Mckendy. Really, thanks for being here, doing the damn thing. It was really, really lovely. Before, in closing tonight, I just want to share a really brief snippet, a singular line from a poem from a previous Words Friends guest, my pal Tom Snarsky. Tom's an awesome poet. You can find his work at neutralspaces.co/Tom Snarsky. This is from Possible Epitaphs, from Tom Snarsky, published earlier this year in Had. How willing the stars are to greet unstarredness. Y'all, thank you so much. I am Sara Matson. Happy birthday, Nate. I am Sara Matson, and Words Friends will be back in the winter. Thank you so much, y'all. Have a phenomenal evening.